What is up, guys? Tyler Young coming at you tonight from Grade 8 Performance. I'm going to take a second real quick tonight to do another Strongman advice section. This is something that's kind of been weighing heavy on my mind for a few weeks. And kind of what brought this on is I'm getting up there in the number of athletes, and that number of athletes is starting to compete at bigger and bigger shows. And I'm starting to get a lot of people, especially clients in my inbox, feeling some type of way about how they're feeling training-wise so late in the cycle. And what this advice is going to be centered around tonight is taking a step back from the ledge. Like, the biggest thing that I picked up as a young athlete from a coach that I had, Andrew Triana, very, very solid coach through the Performance 5. One of the biggest things that he stressed, or ironically didn't stress, was the amount of stress I had in my life and how much that dictated what I was capable of doing in the gym. All too often when we're building and we're trying to improve and you read all these motivational bullshit on Instagram and Facebook, it's you got to push through, you got to push through, you got to push through. And while yes, that is important, and there are days that you're not going to feel like going to the gym, but you need to go anyway, life dictates training, not the other way around. So if you're working 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day, you're going to be counterproductive if you go and or if you don't go rest adequately before your next session. So I tell clients all the time, I would rather have you for 2 or 3 good solid days where you're in it and you feel like being there. You're not having to drag yourself away from all of life's responsibilities, as opposed to 5 or 6 days where you're having to force time to be there and you're constantly worried about what's going on at home or what's going on at work. I want time for you to be focused on being there. Now, how all that kind of comes together is later in the cycle and later in your prep, as you're prepping for a bigger show, you're gonna feel beat up. That's the fucking point. You're supposed to feel beat up. At times you're supposed to feel beaten down, right? I'm talking about this last 5 or 6 weeks of ramp up right before, and again, there are many different ways to skin this cat. This is just how I skin the cat for my athletes. I let them hit it hard until about 2.5, 3 weeks out from contest, and then they have a light week, and then they have just a dynamic, explosive week. So people feel like shit up until that. I won't say shit. People feel not maybe their best. They're not hitting PRs that late in the cycle, but that is the point. You're not going to always feel like that when you're competing. So it's very important to try to mimic that with as much specificity as we can. At least the way I coach. So the biggest advice that I can give you is to kind of step back from that ledge. So don't let those negative thoughts of you're worried about your performance, or you're worried about this, that, and the other. You're worried about you're not going to hit your numbers. You expected to hit a certain number for 3 or 4, and you ended up only hitting it for 1, right? We shouldn't be missing that late in the cycle, but it's okay to feel beat up. That's why very, very rarely do I program based off of percentages, because we get in our head about it and we let it fester and we think about it, and we let it dictate our whole day. We let it dictate our whole week. So it's very important just to keep perspective, right? We're doing all this work to build up to something better, right? So my best advice to you that I can give you to close out tonight is just stay the course, right? Ride the process, and when you come down off of this cycle, just trust. If you do have a coach, trust that he's got your best interest at heart, and it's all going to come together, because that's the point, right? You shouldn't feel beaten down that last week, 10 days going into contest, but it's okay to feel like that through the training cycle. So anyway, again, that's Tyler Young coming at you, Grade 8 Performance. Hope all you guys have a good night.